welcome back, weary travelers, to the second part of this episode. If you came listen to us from the interview portion, great. Welcome back. But for now, we're covering Legend of Luke Book 3. I'm Pete.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Katie.
No Drew or Scars with us today. Drew emailed me and said he was out, so no young Scars, but well, I'm sure he's doing fine. Anyway, yeah, we're covering the very short Legend of Luke Book 3. A Warrior's
Very
Legacy.
short. I wonder if this is the shortest book. I mean, not the whole book as a whole, but like the shortest book within a book.
Well, considering I skipped every single song, I'm going to go with yes.
Oh. And then, I don't know, because I don't know which novel, and I don't remember. I saw this on the wiki. There is one out there with 4 parts. So.
There is. It's Sable Queen.
Oh, okay.
So,
I have not read that one yet. That is one of the 3 that I have not read.
I have read them all an inordinate number of times because I'm a nerd. So we have that.
I think we're all nerds here.
Yeah.
So, why else would we be doing a podcast on a book series made for middle schoolers? Maybe.
Why else would Pete and I have just watched the Tiny Toons movie for our other podcast? I mean, come on.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, that just makes me excited to see Animaniacs return next year. So, anyway, back to Redwall, because that's what we're covering. Yeah, so when we left off in Legend of Luke Book 2, we found out that, yeah, Luke was, I hate to rehash a joke we've made a dozen times, but yeah, Luke is a terrible father.
I think Jeremy should do a summary. Jeremy, you need to do a summary of Book 2 in one breath. Ready, go.
No, we don't want to kill him.
All right. Luke found a new home, but it was a bad new home because pirates attacked them twice, and his wife was killed, and Martin was almost turned into an orphan and left with his grandmother because Luke was angry, decided to leave after the evil pirates in a junky little ship after their giant ship. And Martin's like, don't worry, Dad, I'll stand here with your sword for all of 5 minutes, and ooh, who's that weird stoat coming by? And so then Luke went off after them, and they found an annoying hare on an island who used up all their food. And then when they were just about to find their quarry, the giant ship smashed their little ship, and they're like, oh, ship. And then got taken captive alongside a black squirrel, Rangavar Foeseeker, who we're pretty sure is actually Feldo's mother. And she's angry and bites ears off of people because of course she does. And then at the end, a huge mutiny starts up, and Luke is strapped to the wheel and beating on Vilu Daskar, the villain, and Ranguvar is taken on an entire ship by herself, and then crack! The ship breaks in half, and now we're back to Book 3.
Yay!
Okay. Yeah, bravo on that. You all right over there?
I'm good.
Breathe. But yeah, that's the basics of it. And yeah. And we all know what happened to Martin after that. So, but he doesn't, if you recall.
Yes.
That was fun.
So yes, when we left off, Martin had just finished the there and back again for his father. Oh wait, I'm sorry, legal hobbit. I can't say that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the elders were like, so Martin, what did you do while we were away? And Martin's like, I totally don't remember. It was something about some flower and, and things.
For some reason, roses make me sad. I can't really figure out why. And
roses are red, my tears are blue.
Oh, no. Hey, but Timbalu Visto is,
yeah.
He
like,
certainly wasn't a galley slave.
What was that friend of yours? Tim something? Yeah, he's sort of dead, too. It's like, well, Martin, a lot of the people you know die. He's like, yeah.
Yes.
And there's Gonf and Diddy scooting away from him just on the safe side.
So, tangent, I recently read a very, very sad fanfic where Martin is, when he's wounded after the battle with Sarmina, he, goes to Dark Forest and talks to Rose, and she's like, no, you can't go yet. It's not time for you to go, and I'm going to be strong for you, so you don't remember any of this. And then he wakes up, and Gonf is like, are you okay? You were screaming about roses. And he's like, I don't know why that would be. And he doesn't remember any of it.
Oh, no.
That was really sad.
Oh my god! I shouldn't laugh.
Oh, God.
And I'm laughing now, but
about
at that point I was like, I'm gonna just cry over here now.
Yeah.
Well, at least Martin didn't have a giant blue diamond to toss into the Abbey Pond. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a terrible joke. I know.
Oh.
But yeah, so Martin basically says, "Okay, well, I know you guys like this ship and all, but yeah, we're taking you back to Redwall so you can retire at least without the risk that your ship falls into the water while you're sleeping one day."
It's like, yeah, seriously, how this thing is still, sitting up here is... Yeah, you guys are totally lucky you haven't drowned along with everyone else yet.
That must be a very, very formidable iron spike.
Yeah.
And I did. When we do catch up, Martin is kind of definitely quiet about listening to his father's story, and honestly, credit to Dick's writing. I can almost see on his face both grief that his father is dead, without for certainty now, and B that he's proud of his father for doing what he thought was just, even if he left him behind. And Martin outright says, "Yeah, I would have done exactly the same in my dad's place."
I wonder if this was one of the reasons why he decided not to have kids, because he's like, if I would do the exact same thing as my father, maybe I shouldn't be one.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, well, we'll get there when we get there, because there's a later part where Martin flat out says that I'm not going to have any kids, or, well, in a riddle at least. But from a narrative perspective, I like where they went instead of Martin just constantly having descendants throughout the whole series.
Yeah, I mean, it is one. I will agree with you. At least continuity-wise, Luke outright tells him, if you don't have a kid who's worthy of the sword, hide it.
Mm-hmm.
So even implying that Luke's potential grandchildren might not be worth the sword, that's kind of a dark thing to say. So
yeah, this is definitely this is certainly different from in Martin the Warrior after Rose died, and Martin was just completely destroyed by it. But I think this might be because, one, I mean, this is so far he's hearing about his father that he barely remembers, instead of him and Rose essentially almost being a couple. And I have a feeling that Martin kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, and I mean, not that it's not still sad, because he's probably thinking to himself, oh, he's probably not alive, he's probably dead. But when you find out he is dead, it's still sad, but it's not a huge shock.
No, definitely not. I mean, I ballparked last time we talked about this that Martin is equivalent to about 50s. So his dad, if he wasn't dead already from just old age, would have been getting to that point.
Yeah.
So.
And I think, he probably, the readers could probably see this coming too, where he meets his dad's friends. They're still alive, but his dad's not there. I have a feeling if his dad was alive, he would have been with that group. And Martin probably thought this as well.
Well, truth be told, if Luke had survived all of this, they would have gone back to shore to search for the caves, which had been abandoned. Mm-hmm. So he would have tried to find Martin and the others, and who knows where that would have gone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, so after that, Martin does get a little bag with a stone that Luke had given to Sena, his mother, and I like the little touch of Martin when he's out there and he drops the stone into the water, saying this is, for you, Dad, so you can be reunited with Mom. And he goes, it's from Luke the Warrior and Martin of Redwall, instead of saying Martin the Warrior. Because, I don't know, it feels like this is where the change happens, where Martin goes from being the warrior to being a mouse of Redwall, and seeing that he could live a longer and happier life as a mouse of Redwall rather than as a warrior like his father.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt, though, had the Abbey been truly threatened again, Martin would have taken the sword.
Oh, yeah.
But
it kind of goes into that thing of Redwall's warriors are by, time and necessity only. They live peaceful lives, but if threatened, they do take up arms. They do fight back. And I think that describes Martin after this moment of he wants a life of peace, but is ready just in case something happens, rather than looking for trouble like a warrior.
Well, speaking of looking for trouble... Speaking of looking for trouble, yeah, we have to have one last vermin fight, which we're going to get to in a bit.
Yeah, I forgot about the terrifying hellscape that is everything that isn't Redwall in this book.
And it's not even one of the vermin groups where we have seen before. It's a completely new and completely unnamed. No one is named. Has anyone else noticed this?
No, I forgot. They last for like a page. I mean,
yeah.
Jinx was like, well, I need to fill some time. I don't feel like naming any of these characters.
But we do find that basically Martin and the party head back aboard the ship, the Honeysuckle, and basically hit all the major points they've hit. And yeah, I mean, we could go into the details here, but yes, they revisit Skipper Tungro in his hold. They do get the Dune Spike and the Hedgehog tribe. They go through Queen, what's her name?
Garraway.
Her tribe, and we find out all the otters are seemingly related.
Super coincidence theater!
And I'm not going to comment on genetic diversity here because Lord knows the badgers don't have enough of it. That's a story for another day.
A bad joke I'm not going to make because it's not PG.
Yeah. We do get Logolo Firmo and his tribe. I do want to talk about that homecoming because it's pretty entertaining in its own right. But yeah, we do. More importantly, we actually flash back to Redwall and what's going on there. And hey, I'm happy to see that. We actually see Columbine, and for a guy who just started a diet, this was torture to see all the food they were making. We're given very good descriptions of all the food, including a wild cherry Redwall Abbey scone. I'm like, oh, come on. But actually, yeah, Columbine is kind of like the designated best cook here. And we also see Ferdy and Cogs actually, besides just being random adult hedgehogs for Trimp to find earlier, they're the pre-Ambrose Spike. They're the cellar keepers.
Yes, which makes me wonder, what happened to Goody Stickle? Has she died?
Oh, yeah, both of their parents.
Yeah, because...
Ben Stickle.
Yeah, they're not here.
She's supposed to be a really, really good cook, and she was apparently the friar for a while, according to Doomwhite. They mentioned that she was a friar, and she made pottery things.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I haven't read Doomwhite.
I think I blocked out most of Doomwhite, so...
I like
Doomwhite. That's going to be entertaining to see my first-time reaction to that book when we get there.
I think I'm building it up too much, honestly, but we'll see.
But yeah, Ferdy and Cogs are the cellar keepers. If we don't know where their parents are, I mean, we already talked about last time, Logolog Big Club is nowhere to be found. And it's kind of our canon in our head, Firmo, if not his son, is his appointed successor. So,
yeah,
if he's not dead, he's retired. So,
I did like this jump back to the Abbey, and I would have actually preferred some of like stuff like this in book 1 as opposed to the 8 million random vermin fights that they had to go through. Like,
yeah,
good lord, this would have been a better way to fill time.
We also
come to the point where they met up with the hedgehogs again, the tribe of hedgehogs. I can't remember.
Well, we haven't addressed that directly. I'm just talking the Redwall storyline.
I think it's after this part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, we also find out that Skipper, as in Skipper of the Redwall hold, he's not only did he have kids, he now has grandkids. We have what are their names? Mayberry
and Catkin.
And they're adorable.
Yeah,
they're adorable. And they tease their grandfather about enjoying a few creature comforts in his old age, including hiding when there's work to be done by staying underwater.
And then we find out that maybe Ferdy and Cogs don't become stellar masters, because they're like, sure, Divins, you could totally roll these giant barrels down. Oh, look, you almost murdered the abbess, but it's fine because you're cute.
Yeah, where is good guy HR for this? Like,
holy cow!
I think
the abbess is good guy HR.
It literally is. You're cute, so you get away with like attempted murder because they're like, oh, that was so funny how the barrels almost killed us.
It wouldn't be attempted murder; it'd be manslaughter. Well,
whatever.
Slaughter.
Mouse slaughter.
Mouse slaughter too. Yeah.
God, it's like they're laughing about it. I'm like, yeah, they could have killed someone, but yeah, it's funny. Oh, okay, whatever.
And also important to the series lore, we find out, yes, Redwall actually does metalworking when they have to, because Ferdy and Cogs not only are the cellar keepers, they're the forge people, because they're building the weather vane.
Oh, yes, we get some of that in High Lane, too. Spoilers.
Nah, it's okay. We find out Ferdy and Cogs are actually using cooking fires to do metalworking, and they're bashing their hammers against a new stone floor. Because if that's one thing you should do with stone floors, is bash hammers against it.
Oh, yeah.
No. I got in severe trouble as a kid when I took a hammer to the concrete floor of the garage. And that's concrete. There's no way they're not leaving dents in the floor of the kitchen.
Again, they don't seem to be the brightest pair. Also, actually, now that I think about it, what happened to Spike and Posey?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
Their siblings that were very pivotal in Mossflower.
Maybe they went wandering.
I mean, that's totally possible. Or we don't know who's living in Brockhall, if anybody, at this point.
Or Jake's just forgot.
That too.
Or St. Ninians, for that matter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of nice that we actually him acknowledge that, yeah, the Abbey does need some sort of, at least low-level metalworking. They don't need to make weapons, but they do need basics. So they can't exactly buy everything from Salamandastron because there's no economy in this hard book series. Unless you're the cartoon.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the pirates are constantly trying to get treasure and everything like that. It's like, what are you going to do with the treasure?
Yeah.
You're going to buy a whole bucket of nothing?
Hoard it until you, get crushed under your own treasure, and there's an episode of Redwall hoarders comes out about you.
Hey, Gabool, we need to have a talk here.
Rago, do you really need this knife? But it was my first knife. It's covered in rust. No, that's my poison knife. Oh, God.
I mean, it does bring up a question. We know, spoilers for the book Salamandastron here, but yeah, the Badger Lords do make stuff out of gold and silver, and they just hide it.
Yes, like dragons.
And we do know pirates steal this kind of thing, but they can't exactly fence it anywhere, can they?
No. It's every sea rat's dream to pull a Scrooge McDuck and dive into their gold.
Oh, he broke his skull. Oh, I'm sure he's fine. No, I'm pretty sure he's twitching at the bottom there. Oh, but okay. So, yeah. Then Martin's party returns to the Dunespike tribe.
Yep.
Yes. And I love it how Bo is smashing the patriarchy by just being ridiculous because, the hedgehogs try to flirt with Shrimp and he pretends to be scandalized that they're flirting with him. He's like, we haven't been even introduced yet. What are you doing?
That was so funny. That was great.
And not only that, but Jake's outright calls it flirting, and it's like, whoa, okay. I thought just kids just happened. The stork brought them, right?
It's your Cabbage Patch.
Because not only does Shrimp flirt back with these male hedgehogs, she and a whole group of girl ones do.
Well, first she does...
High school?
Well, first she finally does kind of stand up for herself, once, where they're getting off the boat, and they're like, well, here, we can help you, and she, jumps over them and goes, I can do it myself. And then, later on, she's flirting with them with the other hedgehogs, all right, great, you stood up for yourself once, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's like, between that and constantly whining about Chugger, which I'm not the biggest fan of Chugger because he's kind of insufferable during this part of the book, but good Lord, stop complaining.
Yeah, I mean...
That's all she really does throughout this entire part of the book is just, Chugger, stop, everyone's spoiling him, yeah, like, good Lord. Neither of you were hearing yourself to me.
I admit I practically cheered when they finally just tied him to the mast to shut him up.
That was funny. And they even said, he's like, I won't get you anywhere skilly enough. And Bo's like, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Now, if it would have been Fleet's gun, he would have been like, oh no, untie him.
Oh, God.
And I noticed Martin doesn't really protest because I would imagine his reaction isn't generally that cool here, but I want to compliment his child-rearing skills have come a long way since the Pygmy Shrews. So.
Yes.
Again, the Pygmy Shrews had him as a slave. All right? Like, kind of a different situation going on here. The Pygmy Shrews made his life a living hell. All right? Like, and he had just escaped slavery. And now he's back in it again with a giant log attached to his foot that he would then sit on. Oh, so, yeah, I think...
I won't bring that point up again, then, okay?
Yeah, normal children are fine. Those were the creatures of Satan, all right?
I do want to mention there is another it's far less, but it's slightly passive-aggressive lullaby song they give to the kids at one point. Which one is this?
I do not remember that.
One of the skippers sings a song that it's less passive-aggressive, but it's definitely a go the heck to sleep.
Yeah, the good night, sleep tight, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I skipped that one.
Yeah, I'm finding it.
But
yeah.
I was tired of them. Here we go.
Less passive-aggressive than...
Don't forget to close the door, good night, sleep tight, use the bed and not the floor. Now don't let me hear you snore, and don't sleepwalk anymore. Blow out the candle, turn on the bed, stop your yawn, sleepyhead. Let's see. Don't rip the sheets to smithereens. If the nightmare starts to show and you wake me up, out the window you will go.
Like I said, it's less passive-aggressive, but it's definitely...
It's more direct defenestration.
Well, given the Pygmy Shrew song was basically, I'm going to lay you out with a punch. Yes.
Yes.
Well, again, the Pygmy Shrews are, if you, like...
I know.
Normal children and the kid from Problem Child multiplied by 10. All right?
Yeah.
Oh, God. John Ritter, Martin is not.
Yes.
So yes, then they eventually leave the Dune Spike tribe, helps them down their way, until they get to the point of reaching Wogglewog Furmo's tribe with his wife Honeysuckle, who is still a treasure.
I love her so much. She's what would happen when one of the squidgies grows up.
Oh, wow. Okay. But, yeah, it's just a point that Furmo does make a few comments under his breath to make me...
It's an old gag.
Yeah, you have to tell it's a very old gag. Not that this relationship is in trouble by any means or anything, but you can tell he does love her, and she clearly loves him, especially when he gives her a ship.
Yeah. Yeah, where he goes, cut your tongue out? Such luck, more's the pity. What was that you said? I said, cut your tongue out? No, my duck, you're far too pretty.
And he outright asked for beer at one point. So,
yeah.
Take that for what you will.
We now know how Furmo deals with his problems.
Oh, this got dark.
Back at Redwall, I actually really like the sequence where they raise the weather vane. Like, it doesn't...
Oh,
It doesn't feel like filler at all because it was such an important piece of Redwall. in the later books, and where Bella and Jermaine are both emotional that, like, they finally completed, like, this huge undertaking. Like, Redwall's not done yet, but, like, they feel this, like, this huge milestone to see. Like, Jermaine's like, my dream Abbey is finally being completed.
Yeah, and she didn't think that she would live to see it.
No, and by the epilogue, minor spoilers, yeah, she lives to the winter at least.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, this was easily one of the best moments in the book.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. And it's also seeing the Abbey under construction as a whole is actually a good experience because, as you mentioned last time, you can see they're being smart about this. Although I do have several questions about the healthiness of that lake. I brought this up in my notes. Yeah, we know the Kotor Lake essentially sunk underground into underground water, with the exception of what became the Abbey Pond.
Mm-hmm.
But I really hope that water is healthy enough to use.
Yes.
We know there were multiple drowning people, including the Big Bad from that book.
Found another vermin skeleton.
Oh, I can imagine some poor Dibbin, like, washing his paws, and it's like, why is there a skull?
It's like, oh, someone left a blanket here. Oh, wait, that's some poor dead rat's tunic.
Oh, my God.
Found another 1,000-eyed tunic. All right, throw it in the pile.
Oh, hey, what's this big one that looks like a cat? I don't know.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Looks like this one didn't land on its feet.
And you can see Martin kind of, and then Martin twitches over there. Put it, burn it, burn it.
Yeah, no, Martin's just sitting there like, yep, you can thank me later.
I do have a question though, because this wasn't addressed in the book. How did they seed it with fish, or did those fish come from the river earlier and then just their generations?
They probably came from the river. Because like they did divert like the river moss itself, where they would gather fish and things like that. So it would make sense that fish like flowed down with it.
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
Yep.
But. Yeah, so they're traveling upstream, and they don't need galley slaves this time, because this isn't the River Moss. So we're kind of basically told that if necessary, I think that the otters pull the ship when they have to, I guess, off rapids. They do meet up with Tungro's tribe, and Tungro's like, hey, yeah, so my dad mentioned that he had two uncles, and one was kind of like his... Yeah. And, yeah, one went nuts.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I got the family relation right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I thought you meant you were talking about the father's relatives, not Tungro's relatives.
Yeah. So Tungro mentioned, yeah, I had two uncles, and one was like my brother and kind of nuts, but his tail got chopped off, so he became a master of disguise.
And now we know the rest of the story.
My other uncle was even tougher than him, but not as crazy, so we don't know where he wandered off to. And Martin's like, huh, so about that. You want to go meet him? Wait, what?
And he's like, okay, sure. Also, I gotta point out, this is just more of Trimp being insufferable during this part of the book, where they reach Tungro's tribe, and she sees all the otters just kind of standing there, like, not looking happy because Fulgrim's back. And she's like, look, they've come to welcome you home. And even Chugger's like, no, how come none of them are smiling? Like, really? Did you not remember what happened during the first part of the book, Trimp?
Yeah, and somehow Fulgrim is not only cured of his arguably mental illness. They say outright, "Oh, Trim and Jug have done a wonderful job on him," and I'm like, "No, it has not been long enough for that."
Yeah,
and they are not qualified psychologists. Like, I'm sorry.
Clearly, you did not see the scene where he punched a fox in the head so hard that it broke his neck. Okay.
Yes.
Or he used his fangs on at least one rat.
Yeah, and bit literally. It's like, well, you don't have to bite his head off. Oh, you actually bit his head off. Yeah.
But as long as Fulgrim is Fulgrim. I'm not going to say he completely cured, and I'm not going to say he's completely better, but he's a lot more pacifist.
Yeah, he's a lot better than he was at the start. You can see that. And he, even before he kind of started turning over that new leaf, he acknowledged that he was different from the other otters, that what he was doing essentially was quote unquote wrong.
Yeah, because about that, we do see this change tangibly when Martin and company confront the last vermin crew. And why? What? Who are they? They aren't even named.
They're killing each other too. It's like maybe if they just sat there long enough, they'd all just stab each other, and there'd only be one left.
And you have to wonder if Goff is looking at Martin like, "Can we sit this one out? Do we really need to do this?" Is there a reason they take these guys on, other than just, hey, we're going to be patrolling this area, you need to be away?
It was kind of funny, though, where they just kind of, like, roll through on the boat that now has wheels and just start smacking them and be like, see ya! And the vermin are like, what the heck just happened?
I do want to point out, this is one of the areas it isn't really well explained where the vermin supply lines come from. I mean, a horde obviously is going to have foraging parties. We saw that literally with, what's his face in Brucktree?
Ungat Trun.
Thank you. I always forget him. He
Don't worry,
had
history
foraging
did
parties.
too.
And then his niece, obviously, Tarsminia, had people to go forage from the farm she was stealing from, as well as well-stocked lotters. But and then you have to presume most of the major vermin hordes have foraging parties, or at least can steal from local food. However, I actually kind of feel bad for this vermin group. Not only are they ambushed without reason, we see them, they're cooking insect carcasses, because that's literally the only food they have. Like, on a rotisserie style, on a spit roast. And
yeah, though, to be fair, when they see Fulgrim and a smaller shrew and assume that it's just like an old man and his grandson, they do threaten to murder them, so, you know. And
it's not like actually the Flitcheye who are explicitly saying we're going to eat you. I would not put it past some vermin to do that the same thing.
Especially when they're this hungry.
I mean, if you're desperate, you're going to eat what you can. I'm not saying you wouldn't.
Yeah, this book kind of does, more than most, does hammer the, if you're not a Woodlander, you deserve to die sort of mentality.
Oh, I wouldn't... Oh gosh, yeah.
Though with the Flitcheye, I have no qualms about that. They're literal baby eaters. Like, come on.
I mean, it is mass genocide. I'm not saying it's not, but I get what you're saying. And the vermin in question, they're just cooking these insect carcasses around what essentially are kind of read as a rotisserie, and one takes it off the fire and stabs the other guy with it because they're fighting over the food.
He's like, here, let me get this straight into your stomach.
Yes.
Oh.
I didn't really care for that at all.
Yeah.
And then everyone else just starts joking about it, like, okay, guys.
Yeah, that was kind of... I mean, I was feeling sorry for the vermin to this point.
Yeah.
They were literally laughing as one of their colleagues is bleeding out from a stomach wound.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, and Fulgrim gets the bride. He and Shug basically dress up as
No, it's
family
him and a shrew.
Okay,
not Shug.
Sorry, my bad. And yeah, the vermin pick on them, and then suddenly everybody's there to ambush these vermin. And Martin pulls one up onto the ship, and he's just like, and lets Fulgrim threaten him. Like, yeah, we're going to be patrolling around here, so you need not be around. So we're going to leave you alive to spread the word. Off you go! And they force the guy to jump off the ship, and yeah, he's dead. It doesn't say outright, and you kind of failed at delivering your message, because we're outright told that the ferret you tossed overboard makes a nice juicy thud against a rock. He's dead.
And that's the literal dialogue, too, is hit a rock, halted his progress with a juicy thud. Like, ew.
No one questions this. Like, hey, did you think our message is going to be heard? Oh, I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure the ferret that now has a gaping head wound will be proof enough.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's our only vermin encounter for these last 5 chapters.
Thank God.
And then we have a mud fight.
Yeah, where they get back to the shrews, and Gaunt is like, well, we were going to call the boat the Gully Whacker, and I was just like, I think Mariel might have to retroactively sue someone over that.
Yes, I was thinking that too.
Isn't her friend Dan, is it Dan?
Dan.
Dandon.
I was close. Isn't he a descendant of Gaunt?
He is.
I think you're right, yes.
So maybe she doesn't like him for that.
She said he stole the name.
Hey, cut it out.
And then that bird shows up.
Yeah. Well, hang on. Before we get there, there's this huge mud fight, pretty much involving everybody, and except Martin. Martin is not named as part of it. And I'm just sitting here thinking like he's face pawing, and he's just like, oh my god.
Doesn't he at one point get hit in the face with mud?
Oh yeah, he does.
Yep.
I'm not sure he fights back.
Yep. Here's mud in your eye. Yeah. And that mud fight was funny.
Yes.
Oh, this last part is full of funny moments.
Yeah.
Like genuinely funny moments.
I love otters. They're just so, like, they're almost like puppies. They're just so incredibly, like, playful and crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. So finally they get back. Finally they head back to the Abbey along, and I presume this stream they're in goes right by it, because that's pretty much what we're told.
Well, remember, the boat has wheels now, so they're kind of rolling that through the forest.
Right. Yes, like run through.
It's the land ship. It's the land Titanic from Futurama.
Oh, God. So, yeah, and they outright... There's morning fog when they pull up to Redwall, and Martin outright tells... Or no, excuse me, Gaunt tells to Martin, hey, why don't you take a heroic pose on the bow? Okay. I'm like, what?
I have a feeling that Gaunt
has a sense of humor.
I feel like Gaunt could convince Martin to jump off a cliff at this point. Like, throughout the whole first part of the book, where Martin's like, I don't want to do this, and Gaunt is like, dude, let's do this. And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
It's guy love between two guys.
Pure
you can tell
pressure.
they're best friends. Because, yeah, Martin Stark he draws his sword and he takes a heroic pose that pretty much they don't see on the Abbey ramparts. But you can definitely tell he has fun doing it, and it's Gaunt's son who hears them.
Yep.
Who hears them, and I presume this is Gaunt singing the song.
I think
the final. Hey, we're back.
I think they were all singing it, weren't they?
It doesn't say who's singing, but given that Gaunt doesn't get nearly enough songs in this book, I'm saying it's him.
All right.
Sure. And I like the homecoming and the epilogue. I think this is a very nice end to a very uneven book.
It's probably the most unusual because it's not a continuous plot. That's unusual for this series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I like, Martin. We go into the epilogue where we find out that Martin hid his sword. Like Martin hides his sword and in a riddle says that he will have no children, but in times of need, the worthy will find his blade and stand for Redwall. And I like that in this series, where instead of it's constantly a descendant of Martin, where they have to live up to his name, we have like just all these different creatures that at some point or another kind of live up to his legacy or have to step up. And instead of it just being mice, we get mice, squirrels, otters, and different Redwallers, hares that get to live on and carry on his legacy by standing against evil and protecting Redwall.
Absolutely. In the books to come, in publishing order, right after Madameo and whatnot, we definitely see Jake starting to explore other species, and finally, until Triss, we finally get one of the females finally wielding the sword. So it takes a while, though.
Yeah.
It does.
On that latter point.
Yeah, but it is nice to see like the different species get it. Like in the Long Patrol, we have oh gosh, I can't remember his name. The squirrel. What's his name? Arvin gets to is the Abbey warrior, which is a fun juxtaposition from his role in Pearls of Lutra, where he was just a playful little scamp. So.
And then it's in Salamandastron, another squirrel picks up the blade.
Yep.
I don't remember his name.
Samkin.
Samkin? Yep. And
fun fact, was actually named after a fan who wrote in.
Oh, cool.
Aww.
Sweet.
Like, I think it was Samantha something, and her last name began with Kim, so he just put those together.
Oh, cool. And then in Tagarung, we have an otter wielding the sword.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
And then,
does a shrew or a hedgehog ever get it?
I don't...
Shrew, no. Well, for like 5 seconds in Marl Fox, a shrew does. I can't remember the character's name, but it's the one that goes with them to get the tapestry back. He uses Martin's sword in one fight.
Dippler, I believe.
Dippler, that was it.
Here, I'm looking on the wiki right here. Wow, there is a lot of wielders of this sword.
Yeah, there's a couple of villains that get it too.
Yeah, there is a shrew who does it. So an otter, several otters. It's a little small for a badger, so I'm not going to count.
I know Mara.
Although Mara picks it up. Yeah.
Yeah, and she even mentions that it's a bit small for a badger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Wow. Okay. There are more wielders of the sword than people killed by it.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. Martin does kill a lot of sea rats and mossflower during that fight at Salamandastron.
Okay. Named characters.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Not TK421.
Not generic hench rat number 50.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. And we do see Martin and I do like Martin and Avis Germain's reunion. She's just like, okay, yeah, you brought a lot of people. Come on in. There's food.
Yeah.
Come on.
Listing off every single person that joined them. She's like, all right, I get it.
Yeah. I do enjoy their friendship, though. I think they have a pretty special friendship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it sounds like he has helped her realize her dream of the Abbey. Like, he's been one of the people working, as like one of the leaders of the construction. And, he's not the abbot of Redwall, but it sounds like he's essentially like her right-hand mouse.
Yeah.
Definitely. And she even gets the point where when she meets Bo, the old hare, she's just like, oh, hare? Okay, you're hungry, right? Well, duh.
Never knew a hare that wasn't.
And we have a feast, and yay! And then the epilogue is Winter, and Avis Germain is writing. I was going to say earlier, I think Germain and Martin are the only two with deliberate statues in the Abbey.
Yeah.
Like, he's on the tapestry, and I'm gonna mention that in a moment. But if at least the books we've covered so far, she has a statue in her tomb, and he has one in his. So.
I am completely blanking on her statue. Oh, was that in Madameo?
No, the original book.
No, it was in Madameo. When they went.
I know it's in the cartoons. So,
where the little folk go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was it, yeah. Where they break off the finger, but it's actually, like, supposed to come off, and that's where the map to Loamhedge is, right?
It was a little ant on the book, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I remember that, because she's in the her statue is in the cartoon. So.
Okay.
But epilogue is her writing in her journal, and this is when she outright says that Martin has deliberately given up his sword. And he asks the bird, Quar, to hide it in his prearranged place. So.
Yet it somehow makes its way down in Mariel of Redwall, and it goes right back up there again.
It does. I'm assuming that when he died, like, they buried it with him, and that's where Simeon went. in Mariel of Redwall, but I don't know. But that always confused me.
We'll talk about it when we get there. By the time we all know that by the time the original goes up, it was on the weather vane at one point.
Yeah, it was definitely up there in Salamandastron.
Yeah.
Yes.
As Sam finds out.
Yes.
When we covered this originally, my prevailing thought was Goff had basically set up all the riddles and whatnot out of honor of his friend, because if there's anyone in Redwall who could do that, it'd be him.
Yeah.
So.
It sounds like he and Martin worked on that together, but it's with Martin giving those cryptic riddles at the very end of the book. So it sounds like Goff started to rub off on him, and the two of them probably together put those riddles.
Okay, listen, Goff. That jerk Matthias is going to get 2 seasons of the cartoon, and I only get 1, so we're going to make this difficult for him.
And in one of those seasons, his girlfriend's going to do all the solving for him.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, this is a major point I wanted to mention. We have Columbine at one point, before they get home, keeping watch on the ramparts, and the other characters are not jerks to her about this.
Yes.
Oh, they are coming home. They say this repeatedly. They keep up her spirits. Instead of, oh, well, he's gone to season, so he's probably dead.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Are you talking about Madame Mayo now?
I am, yes.
Yeah, where Cornflower's standing there, and they're like, they did go on a very, very long journey, and...
Your husband and son are, well, we won't say they're dead, but
they're dead. I just thought of something. I just thought of a continuity thing in Madame Mayo that actually that kind of would have rendered that moot, and maybe that's why it didn't happen. They could have sent at least a couple of the remaining sparrows or the other big bird to fly out and follow their path and see that they were coming home.
Huh.
Yeah.
They should have.
That. Yeah, Red Kite could have at least done that, because there were so few sparrows left. They never show up again.
Yeah.
No, which makes me sad, because I like them.
Yeah.
So, it's fair to say they probably moved on to a different space, but we generally don't know.
Yeah, and in Redwall it did say the abbot invited the shrews to stay in Redwall, but it doesn't seem like they did, because I think they're generally more nomadic, and they like to move around and stuff.
Yeah, and as we've seen, there's at least 2 other holts of otters out there, despite the fact that, Skipper pretty much moved his into Redwall.
Yeah, and in Salamandastron, I remember there were 2 separate groups of the Gossam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have one that takes care of the lake.
Yep.
Which we haven't yet seen yet.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah, that was Legend of Luke. It's one of the more unusual books, as we said, but hey, I enjoyed at least the first 2 parts to a point.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's very uneven in terms of quality. There's definitely some good moments in this book. Like I said, the epilogue is very good. Martin returning to the caves on the coast is a very, very good moment. And book 2 that had some issues, and I feel like probably should have been its own book with the Martin stuff as like the, no pun intended, bookends for it, or like the framing device for it. It was nice to at least see something that happened, in the past and learn more about what happened to Luke. And Ranguvar Foeseeker was definitely a great character to learn about. And as we discussed back with Martin the Warrior, we are now under the fan impression that she was probably Feldo's mom.
That is my headcanon, yes. And I do like how
grandmom at the very least.
Yeah, I like how when Martin throws the pebble into the ocean, he, says this is from, your son, but then he also, I think he does a tribute to Ranguvar as well. Like, I don't know if he had any family, but just know that you will always have...
Oh, she did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But
as far as we're concerned, she did.
Yeah. Yeah, when he said that, when he said, I'm not sure if you had family, I immediately thought of Feldo.
Yeah.
Jace didn't confirm it, but as far as our headcanon concerned, he's just like, huh. Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
that needs a Redwall canon.
Yeah, though it is sad that Feldo joined her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And poor Bark John is all alone.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy. That made myself sad. Yeah. So, next time, well, do we want to make this a surprise or not, Jeremy?
No, let's...
I mean, I've hinted at it on the Eulalia. If someone's smart enough can read my post and already figure it out. But
well, we're not going to start on Outcast next time. We are going to, like I said at the opening of, it was the opening of the interview show, we are going to be covering other Brian Jakes books, and no, we are not going to be covering Castaways of the Flying Dutchman next, though I honestly would like to cover that trilogy of books at some point. We are going to cover a different Brian Jakes book.
But which one could that be?
Think about Halloween. Maybe that'll give you a hint.
Yep. So, I will do the rundown of where people can find us online. You can find us at reporteronthewall.com. You can read about us on the Eulalia subreddit, as Pete mentioned. We are on iTunes, Google Play Podcast, and you can also read more about us on the official Redwall forums where we have a presence. We have a Twitter account, ROTWPod, and we also have a Gmail address, rotwpod@gmail.com, where you can send us comments or requests to be on the show, things like that. And if you'd like, you can check out our sister podcast that Pete and I also do, Frustrated Fans, at frustratedpodcast.com. We are still doing that, contrary to the lack of updates in the last 2 months. But don't worry, it is coming back. And, yeah.
Hooray!
Yay. And, folks, we'll see you later in October for whatever we do for Halloween.